I think American students, not just Delaware, but have really been doing the academic equivalent of practicing basketball by shooting in an 8-foot basket. And you can get good shooting in an 8-foot basket. But the problem is then you get into a game and you compete against players who have been shooting in a 10-foot basket.
If you go back to the 1960s and the 1970s, we were the best in the world. And while we haven't gotten worse, the rest of the world has improved dramatically around us. And so we need to step up our game.
Get informed at contentdelaware.org.
In 2010, Delaware won a federal grant to help spur innovative school reform. Initiatives include adopting new standards to better prepare students for success in college and the workplace, increasing the number of highly effective teachers and principals, providing new resources and supports for our lowest performing schools, building a data system so teachers can tailor instruction to meet the needs of every child.
We allowed ourselves about 5 minutes of celebration in March of 2010 when we won the Race to the Top competition. But then since then it's been full-scale implementation. And we have very significant work still to do.
I think we have the opportunity with our Race to the Top funds to invest in reform efforts that we would not have been able to if we didn't have the money.
The money, while on one hand a lot of money, $120 million, relative to the fact that we spend $1.6 billion and more each year on education in the state of Delaware, it's not a lot of money. But it's a very important money being invested at the margin to start to change the way we behave in our schools and the public policies directed at our schools that will encourage them to do much better than they have in the past.
Race to the Top for Delaware is very clearly defined. Our aspirational goal is that every single student who graduates from a public high school in Delaware will graduate college and/or career ready.
This is a game-changing opportunity, and we need to treat it that way. And I hope that parents are more engaged than ever in terms of holding everybody's feet to the fire.
The fact that the union has been part of this process in Delaware from the beginning is very exciting for me. We've been able to have the teacher's voice in this reform effort like never before. And it isn't just one initiative. It's reform efforts on all fronts. And so instead of just focusing on teacher evaluation in the past, let's say, or just focusing on a student assessment, or just focusing on budget, or just focusing on, one new program, we're now forced as educators to look at everything at one time in a very tight time frame and to show results.
I think what you're going to see initially in terms of what to expect tangibly is we're going to see a higher level of coursework hopefully coming home because we're pushing towards higher standards. But there also is going to be, from a classroom level, there are going to be new teachers, new leaders coming into those buildings. Those teachers that are in the buildings are going to be getting more supports and also be pushing harder in terms of holding each other accountable.
We had a data system that was in place to begin with, and that has been the heart of part of the Race to the Top goals. They do accent the data that can be used to improve instruction, but it also lies at the heart of some of the other efforts, the rigorous curriculum and assessment programs that they want to have in place.
We now have live data in time that teachers can use while the student is sitting in the classroom to individualize instruction like we've never been able to do that before, and that is powerful.
When you look at those countries, and there have been many that have moved from the middle of the pack up to the front of the pack, they've done much of what we're asking states to do with Race to the Top. They've raised standards, they've really focused on the people in the schools, and they've raised the expectations of folks up and down the system. And they've invested a lot in those people.
So we have adopted higher standards. We've moved to a new assessment. We've also increased the level that kids have to achieve in order to be judged proficient. because in this new world, they're not competing just with other kids from Delaware. They're competing with the best of the best from around the world.
We know that we're going to have bumps in the road along the way as this change becomes more broadly infused among all of our teachers, among all of our schools. But because, as I said early on, we have such a community of hope around reforming our public schools, we're going to stay strong and we're going to meet our benchmarks.
I'm committed to this being for real. And I think one of the advantages we have is that we've had the teachers union and the business community and others at the table. We're listening, we're making adjustments as appropriate.
If we do exactly what we said we're going to do and we're going to hold people to it and implement with fidelity, we are going to get exactly where we need to get. Change is hard, and remember, the first year has pretty much been building the structure, the infrastructure, to juxtapose by now an implementation process that must hit every proficiency mark and every targeted measure and expected outcome right on time.
I think if we can work together on following through on what we've committed to, I think we can see dramatic change. I think we can not only move up within the country. We're right now about middle of the pack within the United States. I think we can move in the top tier of states. I think we could actually take the next step and blaze a new path for this country in terms of what it means to be internationally competitive again.